So who's in control here? Honestly, who's in control of this interview? Certainly ain't these two cops.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. But who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer, coming to you with my pearl-handled pistol cufflinks so graciously gifted to me by none other than the content genius that you guys know as my son, Michael Rivers. So today we're reacting, to an interrogation. Interrogations are a tricky thing for the cops. You got some guys who like to act like good cop, and some guys that like to act like bad cop. I almost universally recommend don't snitch. Well, not snitch, but don't, not snitch on yourself, but don't submit to an interrogation, because the first time anybody should hear your story is when you tell it on the stand. But sometimes it makes sense to talk to the cops. For example, if you have an alibi that's airtight. But, you don't know what the cops know. So when they'll ask you questions that they know the answer to already to just try to test you. So this is actually DaBaby, and then the title of this video is When a Criminal is Smarter Than the Police. If you remember our last episode, my basement was flooded because of a haphazard thing my grandparents did in my basement. And I had to call and get a cleaning company in, and we did it all by e-sign. That happens all the time. And so now they're being interrogated by cops, and, the first thing they did was hire a lawyer, and they couldn't go to his office because they're in wheelchairs. So they e-signed a document. They both are very prolific with their laptops. And so what the lawyers did is they did an e-signed document to them, an e-signed retainer. It's a very simple and easy way to do business. It's a simple way to remotely do business. Download the app, you get 3 free signatures a month, and you are able to do business quickly and remotely. So once they did that, they lawyered up, and because they had a lawyer now, they're waiting trial. Poor grandparents. They just developed a bad habit, and it started with OnlyFans, and now we're into this. Anyway, well, let's get to this. This is When a Criminal is Smarter. I haven't seen this. This is a totally cold reaction. So I haven't seen this. It's called When a Criminal is Smarter Than the Police.
This boy. I know if y'all had proof of me robbing somebody, we wouldn't even be talking. Y'all would.
I know if you had proof of me robbing somebody, we wouldn't even be talking. There is some truth to that.
Cuff me, I would be charged with it. That's what I know, bro.
In January of 2020, DaBaby, aka Jonathan Kirk, was supposed to be playing a show at a nightclub in Miami. But when the owner paid him only $20 out of the $30,000 he owed him, things got out of hand fast. The victim alleged that Kirk punched him in the face multiple times before he was attacked by more of Kirk's crew. He was beaten up and knocked to the ground before being robbed for his phone, his credit card, and $80 cash.
See, these are all very not petty crimes, but small crimes in terms of, why would somebody who's like DaBaby be involved in stuff like that?
The only footage of the event was this piece of obscured CCTV footage. Kirk fled the scene in a black SUV before returning to the hotel a few hours later, only to be met by both of the victims and a team of police waiting to arrest him. He was escorted to the police station and told he was only there as part of an investigation.
Say, we just got to do our investigation and that's it.
But as it would
to arrest somebody, just so you know, you have to have probable cause for an arrest. We don't have preventative detention like they do in Romania.
turn out, the investigation wouldn't be that simple. And unfortunately for the cops, Kirk spent his hour in the interrogation room displaying exactly what to do in this situation and making the cops.
What happens sometimes, they'll leave you in a room, and maybe they even leave with your cell phone, and they'll just try to get stuff out of you by just sitting and watching your behavior. So they'll sit there. You can sit there for a couple hours, and they do that on purpose.
Lives as difficult as he possibly could.
What's your full name? Come on.
So we just want to go through them. This is just a formality. Just name, date of birth, and all that stuff.
Formalities. I got that.
Immediately, it's obvious that this isn't going to be an easy one for the detectives. Kirk starts off by refusing to answer any of the officer's questions, even just regarding his own.
Now, keep in mind, you have to have Miranda. Well, what is Miranda? The Miranda warning is when you have an in custody interrogation. So they have to read him his rights, and it doesn't sound like they've done that so far. And otherwise he's free to go, right? And so if he's refusing, and if he would have invoked his right to a lawyer right then and there, they have to cease questioning.
Name. He's already been read his Miranda rights, informing him that he has the right to remain silent, so it seems as though he's choosing to do just that. Interestingly, however, he is choosing to waive his right to a lawyer, and let's be honest here, it's not because he can't afford it. The best course of action if you're ever put in this scenario is to stay silent and ask for a lawyer. But this time, Kirk is confident that he'll be able to wriggle out of this himself.
So many people inflate their sense of their ability to talk themselves out of a situation like this. And so you don't know what they know. And so you don't know so you could unwittingly either corroborate or make it look like you're lying about something. And that's why we typically don't do these interrogations or recommend not giving a statement to the cops.
As long as he chooses his words carefully.
An incident occurred at the hotel, 1500 Southwest First Avenue, that you were there for, correct?
What incident?
An incident. You had an altercation with somebody?
No.
You didn't. Did you have any business dealing with somebody?
No.
You didn't.
No.
So somebody didn't bring you $20,000 in front of the hotel in your SUV?
No. Somebody bring $20,000 that wasn't theirs and lied to them and told them that it was for an event of theirs on the 31st. And lied to them. That person, once he realized they were doing bad business, said nah and left with his $20,000.
Okay, so you didn't count.
And got my contact information to do business the right way. That's what happened.
Around what time was this, sir?
I don't know. Whatever time they told us. Whatever time the camera showed me not robbing no damn body that time.
Kirk is claiming that.
So whatever time the damn camera saw me robbing nobody, that's the damn time.
Claiming that he had nothing to do with anything that happened outside. His story is somewhat unclear, but he's essentially saying that his manager was talking with an event promoter about playing at a nightclub called Cafe Iguana Pines. But it turns out the money that they were offering was stolen, and the promoter was acting strange during the deal. So instead of taking it and going through with it anyway, he told them to get their act together and left without an argument. This, of course, does not explain the altercation outside that was clearly caught on camera, but with the footage unclear and no witnesses nearby to identify the assailants, as long as Kirk sticks to his story, theoretically, things should be.
And typically, people are intimidated by cops. The average person is. And so they wind up giving too much or contradictory information, so they either look like they're lying or they look like they're guilty. And that's what these guys do all the time.
Perfectly fine.
Common sense. You know what I made to even be down here? A promoter booked me at that hotel. I didn't pay to be at the hotel. I was paid for. You'd have let me on my room, you would have saw close to $250,000 cash, legally, hard-earned money. I don't got to take nothing from nobody, bro.
Well, let me ask you this.
See, that is a fact. But sometimes, as we've known from other cases, like the Shiesty case, where people can have a ton of money and they still do stupid shit.
I will go outside here right now and throw $10,000 in the air. Like, I do not care about no money. I don't.
Was there an argument?
No, it was an argument. I didn't argue with a soul. My voice was never raised. There was never aggressive language from me. None of that.
Was there a fight?
None of that. No, I ain't seen no fight. And nothing was taken. We shouldn't be in no robbery, bro. So when y'all get done doing what y'all doing, y'all need to do y'all job. Y'all need to follow y'all process. And y'all need to arrest whoever gave y'all these false allegations, bro. This is bullshit.
While it may just look like Kirk is flexing his rapper money here, this is actually a very good point for him to bring up in this situation. If he's doing random $30,000 deals on a weekday and paying for hundreds of thousands of people per month, what does he need $80 and an iPhone for? The further he can place himself...
If I'm him, I'm worried about where that $250,000 is, because I've seen it time and time again where cops actually walk off with money.
The further he can place himself from this event, both literally and figuratively, the better. From Kirk's point of view, he was nowhere near that crime. He had no reason to commit that crime, and he has sound and reasonable explanation for his whereabouts.
And it just doesn't seem, if you've got that kind of dough, it seems like just petty bullshit. It doesn't seem like that would fit your MO.
At the time. However, from the detective's side, a crime was committed, and Kirk's vehicle was right there as it happened. So they need to try and extract the information needed to piece his day together to come up with a story that Kirk cannot argue with. That forces him into a confession.
When I encountered you in the hotel, you came back to the concierge, the counter.
Yeah.
Where were you coming from at that point?
Prime, whatever the hell. I went to eat. I went to get some food.
Where is that?
I don't remember.
You don't know?
No.
How'd you get there?
In the car.
What kind of car? Was it a car you drove? Somebody else drove?
Uber.
A Uber?
Yeah.
What kind of car was it? Small car, SUV, truck, what?
I don't know. Let's talk about what matters.
That's why we're here.
Let's talk about what y'all need to get me about this stuff. When I'm driving in the car, what I went to go eat, what time I went, that don't have nothing to do with the fact I ain't robbed a damn soul. Me, nobody around me, ain't nobody robbing nobody.
Let's take the word robbery out of the picture.
So while we here, we taking the word robbery out of the picture. Y'all are robbery detectives. This is robbery unit. That's the second word he said. That's the second word he said when he came in here. Robbery. Come on, bro.
Okay, listen.
He told me he asked to question me about a robbery when I walked in my hotel.
So who's in control here? Honestly, who's in control of this interview? Certainly ain't these two cops. And he's very confident in his alibi. And it's kind of fun to watch him actually take control of the situation.
Robbery? I had every answer to the question you needed right there. Whoa, that ain't it. That's false. Okay, throw that out the window. We talking about robbery, bro. It's nothing for me to talk about. I didn't rob.
So do you think that we just woke up this morning and decided to just...
I think y'all got a phone call from somebody that's already a liar. I know they're a liar. Got a phone call from somebody that's a liar, and y'all bought it. Y'all believed it. Y'all got me in here, and y'all put me in handcuffs. Brought me outside the hotel in handcuffs, cameras and shit all on me. Come on, bro. This shit is bad for what I got going on. And I ain't even do shit to that, man.
Even without a lawyer present, Kirk knows exactly what to do. He currently has the upper hand in this interrogation and needs to keep it that way. The cops are searching for anything that puts Kirk at the scene of the crime, but by redirecting the conversation away from that, back to what he thinks is actually important, there's no realistic way that they'll be able to get what they need. But even though he's winning, it's still worth noting how strange it is that he's not asking for a lawyer. Kirk obviously knows exactly what to do in an interrogation and has clearly spent time learning what to do. If that's true...
I don't know about that. I don't know that he's well versed in interrogation techniques. He's just confident in the facts. And when you're making a story up, you have different body language and a different demeanor than if you're not. And your story doesn't change either. So he just seems confident in the facts. And keep in mind, he's been through a murder charge before and beat it. And that was in a Walmart where he was attacked. And it was a self-defense case.
He should also know that there's next to no scenarios where lawyering up will harm his case. But whether it's an ego thing or just a lapse in his thinking, Kirk is definitely still winning this interrogation. But he's about to start absolutely dominating.
We talking about criminals. When I do business, it's legally binding. It's legally binding. Everything I do, you have to sign a contract. You got to sign a contract.
Okay,
it's a contract right now.
The whole incident happened and nothing went wrong. Nothing happened. There was no...
Not to my knowledge.
There was no fight. There was no scuffle. There was no...
I ain't fighting nobody. But y'all know it's too much. Y'all know too many lies. You get what I'm saying? That's why y'all got to move backwards like that, bro. Like
you're saying that they're lies, but you don't know what we have or don't have.
Okay.
That's why
I know if y'all had proof of me robbing somebody, we wouldn't even be talking. Y'all would have cuffed me. I would be charged with it.
They did cuff him, and they haven't charged him yet, but they did cuff him and they did arrest him.
That's what I know, bro. That's what I know.
Now, while this isn't necessarily true in every case, it is absolutely true here. If you're in an interrogation room and the cops are trying to find out details of the case and accusing you of a crime instead of charging you immediately, it very likely means that they're missing the details needed to charge you. In the vast majority of cases, an interrogation is only done to extract a confession when they don't have enough evidence to easily convict you otherwise. There are a few other niche scenarios, such as
That's true in some measure, but it seems to me that regardless if they have the goods or they don't have the goods, they generally want, especially on more serious felonies, they want to nail the defendant down so that they give a confession.
is trying to figure out why you committed a crime, but it's often very easy to distinguish why exactly you're there based on what you know about the event and what questions they're asking. If the cops know that you're guilty and have irrefutable evidence, cooperation has a lot of merit. But if they can't prove you did what they say you did, stay silent and ask for a lawyer, especially if you're innocent.
We're
I
trying to
ain't
hear
no
your
fool.
side of the story.
My side of the story is I ain't done that. I don't have a side to the story because I ain't done nothing to nobody. Bro.
So that's what I was asking. So
and before
the whole
something could be
incident
done
happened,
to
nothing
me,
happened, right?
and before something could be done to me, I realized I was dealing with bad business, and I
Why do you
removed
say it was
myself
bad
from
business?
What?
Why do you say it was bad
I
business?
already told y'all that. You want to rewind this? You want to rewind it, bro? I already told y'all, bro.
Do you rewind it? You want to rewind it, bro?
My story not gonna come out different no matter how many times I say it, bro. It's not, bro. It's right here. So you press stop and rewind and play, you're gonna hear.
Press stop or rewind and play. Yeah, I do like how confident he is in his story.
That's why I said it was bad business, bro. Come on, bro. There's nothing blowing my phone up. I was all night. He needed my help for his event. He already was in deep water because he's already doing, and I see why. He's already doing bad business. You see what I'm saying? He has an event that wasn't going to go as planned. He needed me to make up for that. He needed me to cover his ass, so he brought in another person, lied to him, swindled him. He thinking he coming to book me for a whole different event, and they tricking him, got him paying me to come do
So who's in charge? The baby's in charge, period. I mean, it's just not even close. And the reason you can tell that is he's dominating the conversation. He's not allowing them to get a word in edgewise or ask the questions they want to ask. And he's just not given an inch on his set of facts. And that lends more credibility to, or leads, gives him more credibility that he's telling the truth.
walk through the night. Come on, bro. These niggas full of shit. And matter of fact, check them cameras. Y'all got crime.
Check the cameras. Check the cameras, check this, check that. We have cameras everywhere in the city. It can track you from one end of the city to the next. And if he's telling you to go look at the cameras, that means he knows he's not going to be on there. It means he's telling the truth.
See an investigation unit out there, check the cameras. See him meet up with somebody else in the lobby. Ask him, hey, who's that? Ask him. Follow up on what I'm telling y'all.
That's what we're trying to do.
At the end of the day, I would expect people to act on common sense anyway.
The cops have realized that they're definitely not getting anything out of him for now. He's told his side of the story and made it clear that it won't be changing, no matter what they say. So, as is the protocol here, the detectives decide to leave the room and spend some time outside trying to come up with their next move.
And here's the thing. This is also a tactic to get the person to come alive. Because even if he doesn't testify, the state could still use his testimony or his recording against him. I had a client, she gave a statement, said she didn't do anything. Then they left her in there for hours, and it was a video just like this. And you could just see, she's doing all kinds of weird stuff, and they played that for the jury. And it didn't bode well for her at all.
This is also often done as it gives the suspect time alone in the room to sit and build up anxiety. In many cases, it can actually be the difference between breaking through a suspect or not. But in this case, Kirk literally just shut his eyes and went to sleep, spending some time in jail while they figured out what to do and gathered all the evidence they could. So they just had to figure out what to do with his stuff while he was locked up. But obviously, Kirk refused to let them touch his stuff and just let the hotel deal with it. Kirk was facing a possible sentence of up to 15 years in prison plus a $10,000 fine, plus any charges they could slap him with for the battery. That's only if they could gather enough evidence, though.
And they don't have an eyewitness, it doesn't appear. Certainly not one that's willing to come forward.
Evidence they absolutely were not getting from Kirk, or the blocked security footage that was the only evidence the crime even took place. So just after 48 hours in jail, DaBaby was released and sent on his way.
So you think about that. He sat for 2 days in jail, didn't get charged with anything, and in my opinion, they didn't even have probable cause to arrest him. Think about that. He sat for 2 days in jail without the hint of any kind of criminal charges. And so what do you do with that? I mean, so what do you do with that? There's not much you can do with that. I mean, does he have redress? Not really, because you can't, they have qualified immunity. But, I remember I've taken a client in on a homicide once, but we worked with him for 4 hours prior to bringing him into the cops. There was a warrant out for his arrest, a pick up and hold. It's a thing they do here in Minnesota. And it's where they have, they don't have full probable cause, but they want to question somebody. So they issue a pick up and hold. It's not really a warrant. In my opinion, it's unconstitutional. We worked with my client for 4 hours and then brought him in, did the interrogation, and it turned out he had absolutely nothing to do with it. But he was a nervous wreck. And he was a young black kid in North Minneapolis. And had he been left to the streets, they would have shot him. I guarantee it was a high-profile murder case. We were able to show that he was not there. He didn't witness anything. He knew some of the same people, but we were able to clear his name. And so that was an instance where it made sense to go in and talk to the cops. But we don't really do that very often. We frown on it 99% of the time. So this has been our reaction to DaBaby, and DaBaby in this particular situation was smarter than the cops. Why? Probably because he had truth on his side, and he knew that he didn't do anything. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer with our content genius, Michael Rivers. So make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon, and we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away.
23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God.